please, enough. No, more.
So, Mike, our topic today for please, enough, no, more is cloud migration, but with a twist. How does one lead a cloud migration? Mike, what have you heard about enough with leading a cloud migration, and what would you like to hear a lot more?
So it's an area that I haven't thought too much about with regards to cloud migration.
Because you've always walked into cloud, haven't you?
I've basically, for as long as I can remember what cloud is, I've kind of lived in that space.
Salesforce. They didn't have anything but that.
That's all we did. So it's not something that I've had too much experience with. So I haven't thought a whole lot about it. Which brings me to the flip side is I would actually love to learn more. I would really like to understand.
You want to go into the world of on-prem and then literally do the shift. There are other people dealing with this saying, Mike, no, you're making a huge mistake.
I want the scars. These are scars that I don't have that
and
I feel like that I need. I haven't paid my dues is when it comes right down to it.
You think that what other cybersecurity leaders are saying? Mike,
Nope.
He's such a fake. He's never actually had to connect a box.
You haven't walked in my shoes.
Okay, so what have you heard enough of? What do you want to hear a lot more?
I would really like to understand what are the ways that you prioritize the path that you take. It's not something that you literally don't back up a truck to your data center, load it up, and then drive down to Seattle and to Amazon's headquarters and dump it on the floor. I would like to understand how you're prioritizing, how you're picking it out.
If they could do that, think about how much more money they could make. They should really consider that.
I think it would cost them a whole lot of money in return. So they might have considered it. That might not be the first time that's been thought of.
Back up the truck of all your servers?
Yes, yeah.
I just love the visual of that.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Just push them off the side, see what happens.
All right. So you want to know more about what it is because it's not that.
The process. I don't understand. I've been a part of smaller pieces where we've had some systems that we've been moving from one place to another. There's obviously a lot more to it. There's obviously a lot of planning that goes into it and prioritization. How do you start?
How do you start? I think step one is the one that a lot of people go, okay, we're going to get to that. All right, I'm throwing this to you, Anna. First, though, answer the first part of the question. You've heard enough about this cloud migration, and what would you like to hear a lot more? And please address Mike's concern.
My answer is going to be a little bit snarky, and I'm going to say I don't want to hear any more about lift and shift.
No, that's not snarky.
I'm sorry.
You know what? I think that's a knee-jerk reaction.
No trucks and forklifts.
But he created a nice visual cartoon. I liked it. He didn't say the words lift and shift because everyone knows. You know what it is? It's saying the thing that 100% of us already know. Like there isn't a single person's going, well, why don't we just lift and shift it? Like I've never heard that ever.
Yeah, but to be fair, even if you're lift and shifting a specific application, it's still just for a cloud native kind of fangirl. It's very painful to hear this because I'm like, oh, you're going to a new operating model, a new environment with all these newfangled toys that you can use to make this better. And you're just going to pretend it's someone else's server, right? Like what even is the point? But I do recognize that it's very, very hard to actually rebuild an application to be fit for cloud or cloud native. So that's why I'm saying it's a little snarky. I'm very sorry for all you folks who are trying to accomplish this and just have no choice because it's sort of unnecessary evil. But it does make me hurt to hear about it.
So what would you like to hear a lot more? And you can speak to Mike's concern.
First of all, I have to laugh at the new form of gatekeeping of you're not a real CISO unless you've gone through a cloud migration. I think that's pretty sweet. So I'd like to hear a lot more actually from CISOs, to be honest, about their strategy around securing cloud native and securing containers and securing some of these new patterns and technologies that often actually manifest as shadow IT. A lot of folks will say they don't have containers in their environment or will just not know. And I would bet you if you're a large enough company and somebody in your company is writing software, there are containers in your environment in some cloud and you just haven't found them yet. So I would like to hear a lot more about folks' proactive strategy around securing these things.
So have you then, in the work that you do over at Sysdig, is a lot of it just gathering like tips and tricks of what others have done in the process?
Some of it is certainly part of that. I mean, we are building and selling a product, obviously, that helps address a lot of the relevant pain points. So our story is interesting because we actually started from the container perspective. We were not originally broadly a cloud security company. We saw this very cool problem in 2013, I want to say, of, hey, a new technology that seems very promising for software development. And we saw the need to secure that technology. And so that's what we started with. And basically what happened was we were super early to market with a super innovative solution, and folks who are going through cloud migrations are struggling with a lot simpler problems. So we ultimately expanded our portfolio to address the needs that you have to meet before you can deploy containers, like checking configurations and kind of like securing sort of the cloud control plane and the cloud bits that aren't even necessarily related to containers themselves. So what we do now is much more broad. We kind of have the source to run story where we secure all your artifacts from source to production. So that means we'll scan your configs, we'll scan for vulnerabilities, but then we also do threat detection in real time. And the reality is many of our customers will interact with one or several of the product components because they're maybe at a different stage of maturity, or they may just be addressing a different use case, right?
So going to also to Mike's comment about process, about step one, you developed your original product to address an issue that was a little bit later down the line. And then you realize, oh, wait, if we're going to bring people in, we got to address the earlier problems. And you mentioned some of them. Let's just go to Mike's question. What is often step one for a lot of people, for security leaders, when considering a cloud migration?
I'm going to feel a little dirty saying this, but in many cases, step one is choosing whom you're going to outsource the migration to. Like, you got to pick a really good managed service or consulting firm to actually help you through it. Because, again, if you're a large enough org, there's a very good chance you're simply not equipped to do this yourself.
So, okay, well, that's a good point. And so, well, now here's the thing. If I'm not equipped to do this myself, going back to the question we had in the very first segment, what is the questions I'm asking?
The first question is, I guess, how much it's going to cost and how much it's going to save you, which brings me back to my lift and shift pet peeve, right? Is you could take your entire data center as per Mike's visual and just dump it into the cloud, right? That is an option. It doesn't quite work like the truck situation, but it takes a lot longer actually. And it will cost literally millions and millions of dollars to do that. And then the assumption would be that you'll pay this cost and then your operating costs in the cloud will be lower. And that's actually usually not true, right? If you don't refactor your estate to be cloud native and to leverage the cloud resources in an efficient way, you're going to end up paying more money for running it in the cloud than you were running it on-prem, almost always. So you have to ask yourself the question of like, are you actually making a good business decision?
So really, and also it sounds like the question you should be asking is, how much does it cost? But B, what are you going to do to make our applications cloud native? And they will hopefully tell you that story at that point.
Exactly. So you then want to scope your migration to include things that would be good to migrate because either they're in the process of being refactored or there's some other reason why them being in cloud is more useful to you or more cost efficient or what have you. And then you may want to leave a lot of things on premise, which happens a lot. Like hybrid scenarios are perhaps the most common still.